Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Erin Brady. I am the Midwest Marketing Director here at OUTFRONT, and I'm truly looking forward to this next hour's content focused on consumer packaged goods. I think we can all collectively agree that 2020 was definitely a catalyst of transformation, right? Or life as we knew it, so to speak. Everything changed, the way we work, the way we live, and most definitely the way we decided how we were going to purchase our products. So CPG sector was no different. It saw a massive change when the world went into quarantine, consumers went into bunker mode, and so many of our favorite brands were simply unavailable. So whether it was toilet paper or cleaning supplies or even our favorite pantry snack, it was at this time that so many of us trialed new products based on either necessity or simply a new way of thinking. So with so many brand loyalists venturing out, experimentation really created great opportunity for competitive brands to gain traction. Even today, Americans are still rethinking their priorities, including what brands will purchase, as well as what brands will stand behind, which is why now is such a great time for consumer packaged good brands to speak to audiences in new and innovative ways. So today I'm joined by three experts in this space. First, the incredibly smart and strategic Rene Barber, who is a marketing manager here at OUTFRONT. Next, we have Jake Parshall, one of our most talented creative directors at OUTFRONT Studios. Both Jake and Rene have worked with numerous CPG brands, helping them to achieve and many times exceed their marketing goals. We're also incredibly privileged to have with us today Timm Martin, who is the president and founder of Freshie Organic Tequila Seltzer, which is a relatively new face on the beverage shelves. And although the idea for Freshie began in 2016, their product intro and massive brand explosion really happened during quarantine. Today, Timm is going to share with us how his smart combination of out-of-home and mobile helped Freshie exceed their goals, and it led to incredible opportunities for national distribution. So before I turn it over to our presenters, just a quick reminder for everyone on the call. We would love it if you would please enter any questions you have as you have them down in the Q&A box. So if you look at the lower down in the Q&A box, not to be confused with chat, we'll go ahead and pop in those questions then. At the end of the presentation, we'll get some answers to your questions from our experts. And as always, we love and appreciate your interaction. So thank you in advance for your questions. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Rene. Rene, please take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Erin. And hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I know that we have a lot of new friends out there, so I want to take this time to kick off our time together with a short video that's going to outline OUTFRONT's purpose, so it'll give you a better sense of who we are and what we stand for.
As the most visible media platform in America, OUTFRONT understands its role in creating cultural impact. For us, most visible means connecting with people through canvases and displays that are always on and woven into the fabric of our communities. We are not a channel that can be turned off. We are not an opt-in service, nor are we a paid subscription, which makes it even more important for us to think of ourselves as a neighbor. With that in mind, we have a profound opportunity, and more importantly, responsibility to positively impact people, communities, and businesses, because at OUTFRONT, positively impacting people's daily lives is central to our purpose, helping people, places, and business grow stronger.
So as you can see, OUTFRONT's purpose is to help people, places, and businesses grow stronger. And especially in this time, we take a lot of pride of being part of the community, helping people stay informed, helping them stay safe, and helping businesses, both big and small, grow stronger. Today, we're going to cover 5 main things. First up is consumer behavior and how to reach your right audience. Then we're going to take a deeper dive into the CPG industry and its current climate. From there, we're going to go over some media solutions that are dedicated to CPG products, where we're going to see some case studies from some of your counterparts that are doing out of home really well. And from there, I'm going to turn it over to my friend Jake and our guest speaker, Timm, to discuss some creative excellence, because as we all know, over 70% of an ad's effectiveness is due to its creative. And then before we wrap up our time together, we will open the floor for some Q&A from our audience. So what do we know about our consumers and what is the best way to reach them? We have been extremely engaged with our cellular devices over the last year and a half, and Americans are definitely feeling that digital burnout, 63% of us, in fact. We know that we're spending too much time on our phones and in front of our TVs, and with that comes the desire to get outside and change up our surroundings. 45% of consumers try and get outside as often as they can, whether it's for a drive or even just to walk around their neighborhoods. And in doing so, research shows that 33% of consumers are spending less time on their mobile phones, computers, and in front of their televisions. And of those few people, 38% of consumers are actually starting to tune out some digital ads. So what makes this such great information from an out-of-home standpoint? More exposure to the great outdoors means more eyeballs are outdoors as well. 45% of consumers are continuing to notice out-of-home more today than they did pre-pandemic, making now a better time than ever for you to reach your ideal audience. In fact, 49% of consumers researched advertisers almost immediately after seeing their ad on an out-of-home asset. We like to say that out is the new in, and people are really starting to associate being outside with a newfound sense of joy. And a really fun fact, psychologists actually tell us that happier people notice their surroundings more. So it's really it's no surprise that out of home is now being noticed more than ever. We also know that the workplace is being mixed up. We're seeing a hybrid of both working remotely and working in the office. And at the point of this survey, 72% of Americans were commuting into work weekly. Just over half were doing so daily. However, the majority of those, 80%, were going into the office about 2 to 3 times a week. Of course, this module is continuing to change as workplaces are definitely taking necessary precautions regarding the health and the safety of their team members. The way that we're moving around our communities has changed up as well. In fact, 3 out of 4 people report biking or walking more, which is actually increasing their exposure to street level media. 82% have used a vehicle in the last month, and that could be a personal vehicle or even a rideshare service. And 97% have actually reported using public transportation in the last month. And while this isn't your typical Monday through Friday, twice a day, we're actually starting to see some more surges in the evenings and on the weekends while people are going out with friends or running errands. Smart brands are recognizing this shift and they're mixing it up too. Take Haagen-Dazs, for example, pictured here. They used a variety of media across multiple markets in Los Angeles, LA, and Miami, which not only helped ensure key market saturation, but it also appealed to their audiences in a way that was integrated into their daily lives. Now we want to take a look at the CPG industry and how it's evolved over the last year. I'm sure all of us can actually feel this photo because we know that some of our favorite brands and products just weren't available and shelves in stores were left completely bare. This affected not only which products consumers were purchasing, but also how they were purchasing them as well, whether it was through a new delivery service or curbside or even an in-store pickup. With that said, let's keep that in mind and kick off this next section with another short video. So yes, we have definitely seen some shifts over the last year, but what have consumers done to combat this struggle and what's motivating them in their decision-making right now? 54% of consumers state that at the moment, they are more motivated to try something based on a lower price point than what they might be paying for a current product. 36% of consumers state that they would try a new brand or product if it was marketed at a higher quality than their current brand selection. And 35% of consumers say that they would be more motivated to try a new product or brand if it was recommended to them by a friend or a family member. We're seeing this experimentation across all different products. 52% of consumers say that they are most willing to try out a new snack option. 44% of consumers say that they're most willing to try out a new beverage option. And 43% of consumers say that they're most willing to try out a new cleaning product. And speaking of clean, the June Consumer Insights Pulse Survey unveiled the rise of what we're calling the eco-friendly consumer. This includes not only the products that Americans are purchasing, but the packaging that they come in as well. 37% of consumers say that they've looked for products that are more environmentally friendly when it comes to their packaging. 41% of consumers say that they actually try to avoid the use of plastic whenever they can. And believe me, consumers are paying attention. 81% of them expect companies to be more environmentally conscious when it comes to their advertising and their brand communications. Influencers have also never been more prominent in a consumer's decision-making than they are right now. Brand identity and trust go hand in hand. After all, we all know that user experience is key. 61% of consumers interact with an influencer at least once a day. That can be liking a post on social media or even watching an Instagram story. In fact, 40% of brands that use influencer marketing have actually decided to partner with more of a micro influencer. So that's your 1 to 5,000 follower range, because they actually report double the relative engagement on each of their posts. So we covered a lot. Keeping all of that in mind, yes, we've gone over some of the challenges, but on the flip side, that has also presented us with just as many opportunities. What are those? Shoppers are hungry for deals and they continue to put a focus on their finances. So price point advertising is perfect for out of home. Our assets are often the last recalled visual before making a purchase. An adjustment to how consumers are actually purchasing their necessities has opened doors to more delivery options. And with limited access to products on shelves, brand loyalty and brand image is extremely important. Right now, brands know that they are fighting for consumers who might have been experimenting with other products over the last few months. Clean products and packaging is also top of mind as consumers continue to not only focus on their health, but the health and safety of the people around them as well. And finally, word of mouth, whether it comes in the form of a paid influencer or a non-paid family member or friend. All right, this next portion is definitely one of my favorites. We're going to take some time to showcase some success stories from your counterparts within the CPG industry. And before we do that, I would like to stress that we work really well with our partners to ensure that campaigns consist of desired coverage, appropriate messaging, and encourage multiple touch points with all of our consumers. So let's see some examples of how OUTFRONT can help you reach your right audience at the right location at the right time. First up is right audience. We like to say that OUTFRONT has national breadth with a local depth. And that's because we're so integrated into the city streets and we're actually able to reach 70% of Americans weekly. A great example is one pictured here. This is a national campaign that we did with Bagel Bites, who worked directly with our studios team to come up with extremely city-centric messaging to reach consumers in a way that was very meaningful to them. So audiences in cities such as Chicago, Detroit, St. Louis, Philly, LA, all of them felt a connection with this campaign because the content was relevant to who they are and the community that they live in. Right location goes right along with that. We worked with Greenleaf, which is a plant-based protein brand, to provide a multimedia level campaign that included bike shares, bulletins, walls, transit shelters, and so much more. The saturation of the market with these assets ensured that the targeted audience was exposed to their messaging at multiple touch points throughout their day. And lastly, right time. We are constantly expanding our digital opportunities, and that just really means we're going to have more contextual relevance to the people that are seeing your ads. Oscar Mayer utilized digital media because of the relevancy and the ability to switch out creative to ensure real-time messaging. They did this by day parting their creative to focus on certain products. So that is the perfect example of perfect timing. And here we have a relatively new client success story that ran earlier this year. Bounce Pearl launched a campaign that was aiming to drive brand awareness, consideration, and purchase intent of their product across multiple markets in the country. To help do that, they programmatically activated prime OUTFRONT digital out-of-home billboards, and they were able to optimize their messaging towards assets that reached an audience of historical curly hair product purchasers. In addition, OUTFRONT mobile retargeting was used to reach consumers that were exposed to that campaign directly on their mobile device. While the ad impact survey reported a 47% in lift awareness, the online store session saw an increase of 28%, and the mobile results showed a 3.22 secondary action rate, which is 7.3% above the mobile benchmark. With that, I'm going to hand it over to my friend Jake, who is going to go through some amazing creative examples and highlights from our studios team. Take it away, Jake. The floor is yours.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much, Rene. So why out of home? I'm sure some of you are asking that question, and that is quite all right. I know I asked myself that question when I joined OUTFRONT, coming from the digital realm. It wasn't something that was ever top of mind, but I soon learned just how powerful and incredible out of home can be. Out of home has the power to evoke emotion unlike any other medium. Just look at these people experiencing such a range of emotions from interacting with our assets. These larger than life canvases can't be ad blocked, they can't be muted, they can't be skipped. They're in your face and ripe to be interacted with. You can't think of any other medium that people take pictures with, take pictures of, and post on social media. There's truly nothing like out of home. It also has the unique ability to whisper to one as they encounter the ad while screaming to thousands with the help of location. So really, we should be asking ourselves, why not out of home? And I hope you are asking yourself that by the end of this presentation. 100% of boring ads don't matter. Now, full transparency, this is a 100% made up statistic, but we all know it's true. If your ad's bogged down with too much copy, boring imagery, and 5 forms of communication, consumers are going to tune it out, or worse, assume your company is also boring and bloated like your ad. Now, here's a great example of an ad that's certainly not boring. Rene Delgado, our art director in Miami, worked on this campaign for Badia, and not only is it an incredible, fun, effective ad, my favorite part is we pitched the bottle as a 3D inflatable. 3D inflatables are a lot more cost effective compared to traditional 3D props and add a lot of impact to an ad. Just imagine driving home from work and seeing a giant cilantro lime pepper salt bottle floating above you on your commute. You're going to notice it. So a little bit about OUTFRONT Studios. We're OUTFRONT's in-house creative agency. We're 50 creatives strong throughout the country, which positions us to not only help you with local, regional, and national campaigns, but as Rene talked about with Bagel Bites, it allows us to lean on creatives and markets to help create hyper-localized messaging and ads for your campaigns. We're also highly awarded with over 150 awards nationwide. You've probably never heard of the Obies. The ceremonies aren't nearly as glamorous as the Oscars or the Emmys or the Tonys, but they're out of home's highest honor, and OUTFRONT Studios consistently year after year brings home more awards than any other company, agency, or vendor. And our work has been published in numerous publications and many media outlets. And now I want to share with you one of the coolest projects studios worked on recently. That's right. We here at OUTFRONT Studios were the creative team behind JLo's incredible subway shuttle that was featured on her Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve performance. And I know before you ask, we did not get to meet her personally, but she did have to sign off on all of the creative. Now, as you can see by the numbers, the campaign was super successful in creating buzz for her new JLo Beauty cosmetic line. And what was really unique was the wrap featured over 30 unique QR codes. And you can scan this example on the screen if you want. QR codes are a super and effective way to add another level of engagement and interactivity with consumers with our pedestrian facing assets. And they're prevalent now more than ever with the pandemic and the rise of contactless. Everyone knows how to use a QR code and the scanners are built into our phones. So if Jenny from the block can trust us with her creative, I hope you feel you can as well. We here at OUTFRONT Studios don't like to work speculatively. We don't like to guess. We want to sit down, talk to you, hear you out, and find out what's at the core of your business. We want to know what sets you apart from your competitors. Why should consumers buy you over them? And what your goals are with the campaign. And then we go back, we brainstorm, we synthesize all of that information down to create super impactful campaigns that exceed your expectations and goals. Take this, for example. Our team had the opportunity to sit down with Procter & Gamble to go over creative, all our creative capabilities and out of home, which is something we would love to do with you. And if you're interested, please reach out. Don't feel you need to be a large global conglomerate. We will sit down with you with a company of any size to tell you what all can be done. But from that conversation led to more conversations about how their brands can be out of home. And we were able to work on some campaigns for some of their well-known brands, including Febreze, specifically their car line. And these ads are super fun, super simple, and really let the product shine. And they play with the fragrances. And one of the best parts is, speaking of creative capabilities, we have the capability to use scent boxes. So take the ad on the left. Imagine you're walking through a musty subway station. You see this ad for Febreze, Hawaiian Aloha scented air fresheners, and then all of a sudden you get a whiff of that Hawaiian Aloha scent. Like, that's a huge impact. We also worked with them on some campaigns for Olay, really highlighting some of their new products, their whips and their mists, as well as working on some mobile for their masks. Here's a really great campaign that came out of our Denver office. Lucy, our art director, worked with Ozo, a plant-based protein company. When they originally came to OUTFRONT, they wanted to do a single ad featuring all 3 SKUs. And we were able, through conversation and discussion, to talk them out of that and create a campaign with 3 ads with single focuses and breaking them up. And it really created this really awesome, effective campaign. We were able to do some digital, some static, and on some of the statics, we were even able to do extensions as pictured here. Here's another campaign our New York office worked on with Lysol, really letting the product speak for itself. We worked on this during the height of the pandemic, so we worked on some super timely copy, and we also did some mobile for this. What's at the core of all of these amazing campaigns is trust. What sets us apart is we're not just award-winning, highly talented designers. We really care. We care about you, we care about your company, and we care about creating a campaign to reach your consumers. And through that trust, we've been able to make some really awesome relationships, including one with Honest Tea. For 3 years, we worked with Honest Tea, creating campaigns for them, spanning digital to bulletins to station dominations and transit. And here's just a sampling of some of the awesome work our team came up with for them. But we also realize and recognize that some of you might have in-house teams that want to do the design, but we're still here for you too. We want to be a partner. We want you to lean on us. You can come to us for advice, You can show us some work. We can give you feedback because we really want your campaigns to be as effective as if we made it, which is the case with Freshie. And I know Timm, the co-founder of Freshie, is here with us. So why don't I throw it over to you, Timm?
Thanks, Jake, and thank you for allowing me to follow JLo, by the way. That's a tough one. But anyway, welcome everybody. And as Erin mentioned, we're the world's first organic tequila seltzer. I started this with my my daughter and son-in-law, and we started this right about 2016. In 2020 December, we soft launched during a global pandemic, and of course in Chicago and Illinois, it was 100% of a shutdown. So around April, the city and Illinois started slowly opening back up, and we wanted to officially launch, you know, in an impactful way starting in June to kind of leverage the summer seasons. So I met with Ed Coyle at OUTFRONT, and I explained to him, you know, we wanted an impactful launch, but we didn't have the financial resources for a massive billboard campaign. So quickly, we Ed and my team identified a couple gateways to Chicago, one being the Restaurant Row area of Chicago, and the second being the gateway entering kind of the business district of downtown Chicago. So with that, Ed suggested two major billboards in those two gateway areas. And then we started working with our in-house team of designers along with OUTFRONT. And we started designing this billboard that you see here. The initial design though, the can was so small and nondescript that I was unhappy with the, I didn't think it was impactful at all. So OUTFRONT suggested that we raise the can through the billboard. And I think some of the examples that we've previously seen, it creates a really dynamic, I think peripherally, you see it much better when you just don't see a rectangle there. So with that, we launched our first two billboards. Ed was instrumental in the restaurant gateway. There's very limited billboard space there. One of the beauties about OUTFRONT is they dominate, at least in Chicago, they dominate most of the impactful billboards territorially. So he was able to negotiate another business who had the billboard that we wanted to make a move and get us in there for the June launch. So thank you, Ed, for that. One of the things though Ed suggested very strongly is that we geofence. I'm not a tech guy. I don't really understand, or at least I didn't at that time understand geofencing. It was a major expense for us, but Ed really insisted that this was an important and impactful ingredient to actually add to the billboard itself. And thank God we did that, because within the first week, the buyer of Target, you know, who's in that gateway of the business center, actually contacted us and ordered samples from us. We then started augmenting this success with a mobile billboard campaign. What was very interesting in end of June is Lollapalooza, which was, you know, banned last year for pandemic reasons, was coming in big and strong in June. So we found out quickly that Bud Seltzer, the new seltzer category for them, had spent 7 figures to get the sponsorship. And it's a 4-day, very large event where people from all over the United States and in fact, the world come in for that music festival. So we wrapped one of the OUTFRONT billboard trucks and we circled Grant Park for 4 straight days. So every single person at that park just saw our truck just circling for those 4 days, which I thought was an incredibly impactful promotion for us at a fraction of the cost what Bud spent. So we outsmarted, I think, Big Bev that way. And with that success of the mobile billboards, we started realizing we could laser focus, you know, neighborhood events, some of the outdoor music festivals and such, again with geofencing. Also, Kroger has a national chain called Mariano's here in Illinois. It's a 44-store chain. We were invited to participate in a Shark Tank with Mariano's. We found out where their corporate headquarters is and circled that area for a couple days in preparation for that Shark Tank, where they invited 100 people down to 12 people, and we won. And so I'm happy to report that we are now in all 44 Marianos statewide, which is an entree into Kroger potentially nationally, which is the biggest grocery store chain. So we have also seen that distributors around the country have started calling us, and I'm happy to report in the last 60 days, we launched in Nashville. We've launched now in the entire state of Georgia, and we are very close to launching statewide in Florida. We are also this week rolling out the mobile billboards and geofencing in Nashville starting this weekend. And we're looking at other gateways in Georgia as well at this point. So I think in closing, what I'd really like to say is our partnership with OUTFRONT is beyond my expectations, and it's really perfect for our national rollout plans for 2020. The fact that they have national presence and they can work in concert with us, every step of the way, work within our budgets and stuff, have been a really outstanding relationship. So Freshie couldn't be happier with our partnership with OUTFRONT.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Tim. With that, I think we'll throw back to Erin and we can take some questions.
Excellent. Are we all back on? Hopefully. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and start. Now, hopefully everybody can hear me. We have a lot of great questions rolling in. So if you have some, please send them our way. We'll make sure that we try to answer every single one of these questions. So I think, Tim, you kind of answered this, but I'm just going to re-ask it again. And I know you and I have had a conversation about this, but I know that a lot of other media formats and media types and media companies were reaching out to you. What made OUTFRONT stand out? Why did you choose to go with OUTFRONT and AKA Ed Coyle?
Well, quite frankly, it was Ed's expertise that made me go with OUTFRONT. He understood that we had limited resources, but we were a potential major customer with national brand awareness. And also we want to go national as quickly as humanly possible. So quite frankly, Ed had no BS. That's what I liked about him. He cut to the chase. He convinced me to spend more money than I wanted to, but convinced us that it would be impactful and that it would actually trade revenue for us. It did that. We initially saw an impactful response to the billboards. People actually shooting pictures and sending it to us. People that we knew. People going down the highways and seeing the mobile billboard going down to the next location. So I think it's the expertise of your art department and your art direction that was very, very helpful for us, because I've never bought a billboard in my entire life, and I had to be convinced that geofence, and without that, I don't think this campaign would have been as successful at all.
That's great. So I'm just going to piggyback right off of that, because we have a question here that is asking, again for Tim, how did your creative team like working and partnering with OUTFRONT Studios?
It was excellent. I mean, we definitely had a vision for what we wanted. And rather than, I think the art department at OUTFRONT, instead of trying to change our vision, they basically enhanced everything that we were doing. And of course, we don't understand when you're dealing with a 52-foot by 12-foot board, exactly all the do's and don'ts graphically. We know what we like, we know what we don't like, but we only have several seconds to get someone in a car to have an impactful, register, so to speak. So they actually were great. In fact, didn't try to, change gears on us. They basically enhanced everything that we had going.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. And it seems as though everybody wants to know about Freshie. So I'm going to get to the next one. So this person is asking if you could just tell us a little bit more about your audience, who you were trying to reach. I know distributors was one of those, but maybe you could expand on that, and anything else that you'd like to expand on your results.
Well, specifically, our mission statement is we're a healthy, kind of fitness-driven family. We've been going to Mexico. I've been going for my entire life, and so have my children and friends. And so my son-in-law actually came up with this thing we call Freshie as if you're going to drink, try to drink healthy and organically. And the thing about organic, some people say organic is not important, but if it's not important to you, if taste is important to you, organic ingredients taste better. They're not flavored, powdered, laboratory produced things, okay? So we basically are a fitness driven company. We are self-sustainable 100% at our distillery. We look for partners such as yourself that shared our vision and kind of our kudos to living healthy, living organically, non-GMO, et cetera.
Fantastic, fantastic. So I'll let you take a breath. There are more questions about Freshie, but I'll let you take a breath. I'm going to throw a question over to Rene. So this one is asking, what is the main reason you think CPG invests so heavily in out-of-home?
Well, I think aside from out-of-home being so extremely fun and unique, out-of-home reaches a variety of audiences, and CPG clients typically want to appeal to such a wide demographic range that out-of-home can actually be picked. It can be cherry picked. You can, pick a location based on a point of interest, a point of sale, or a specific audience. And in doing so, that really allows a brand the ability to personalize their messaging. Very similar to how we went through location and audience, you can really make your messaging resonate extremely deep with your communities. And then also, I know we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier too, but CPG brands can use out-of-home as that last touch marketing point, because quite honestly, out-of-home assets are directly on the path that a consumer is taking when on their way to make a purchase.
Fantastic, thank you. I'm going to throw one over to Jake. Can you recall, or can you tell us a little about what you would consider the most successful CPG campaign that studios worked on?
That's a hard question, but I think I'd probably have to go with the Honest Tea, just because we built such a good relationship with them, and we're able to do so much with them and for them, to a lot of success, and really help them grow their brand even more.
Great. So this one, I'm going to give it back to Tim. I know the answer to this, but I'm going to let him answer it. Did OUTFRONT actually help you with the Lala Mariano's, they call them stunts?
Yes, they did.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
In fact, yeah, we did it in a classy way though. We didn't block the entrance to Mariano's world headquarters, by the way, but I did see that at one point the truck did enter the parking lot. So, but it was very successful. They knew who we were, and because of the branding and what our messaging is on the billboards and the mobile billboard, they knew a little bit about us before we walked in.
Excellent, excellent. Rene, this one is taking a deeper dive into mobile. So this particular person would like to know a little bit more about our geofencing capabilities.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the really great thing about us at OUTFRONT is we do have our own mobile platform. So we are able to provide proximity geofencing and geo-targeting, which is where you set up boundaries around, again, a point of interest or a high indexing zip code. We also have the ability to provide audience targeting. So that's more focused on skewing towards behaviors, categories, specific brands, maybe even some major traffic hubs. We offer static and animated creative, which also kind of amplifies that engagement, and video. Our video segments are typically 6, 15, or 30 seconds long. And then we also have a cross-device option. So cross-device is exactly that. It goes across multiple devices. So you have your mobile device, you have your desktop, and you have tablets. So it really does allow you to amplify your campaign by increasing that reach and increasing that frequency.
Awesome. Awesome. So another one for you, this one just in. So I'm assuming this might be an agency person. So how can I succinctly explain the benefits of out-of-home to any of my clients when there's no direct link to track impressions to conversions?
I really think out-of-home is just so engaging, at the end of the day. It's, I think that Jake touched so much on it on the creative portion, is that it's one of the only mediums that is shared. So it's that additional impact that you can see in real time. But then also we have so many resources on our end in OUTFRONT, whether it's a third-party resource or a proprietary resource that we have that allows us to really take deeper dives into audiences and see kind of where those traffic trends are, and those can happen in real time too. We're very fortunate that we have those. So working with your AE, I think, to really define what kind of goal it is that you're trying to accomplish, whether it is, simply brand awareness, or if you're trying to increase foot traffic, or all of the above. I really think working directly with your AE and allowing us to utilize the different resources that we have is really going to help kind of amplify and give you a really strong foundation for your campaign.
Excellent. Jake, we'll give you the stage. How can a CPG brand utilize out of home to stand out from the competition in their industry and push to top of mind for their audiences?
I mean, out of home is like one of the last things you see on your way to the store to purchase something. And with out of home, with all of those like over the top capabilities, it creates a lot of impact and attention and engagement. If people see a really cool, creative, fun ad, it sticks with them. And then the next time they're at the store looking for toilet paper, they saw a really awesome Charmin ad. They're gonna be like, well, I guess I'll try Charmin. Like, that ad was pretty cool. So.
Very good, very good. I will definitely try Charmin. I'm gonna give this one to Timm. Timm, what steps would you recommend for a brand just starting out, or a brand similar to Freshie that's just starting out?
Well, that's a tough one. I think we wanted to look like we were here to stay out of the gates. And, it was the proudest day of my life, next to having my 3 daughters, is pulling up and seeing a 52-foot wide billboard lit up at night like a Christmas tree with our branding on there. So, we went big out of the gates, but we were very, very laser focused as to where we were going to be. So it was, I think, a brilliant move.
Excellent, excellent.
Go big or go home.
There you go. We love it. We love it. One more for you, Timm. Since your out-of-home campaign, have you tried any other media? And if so, what was the outcome?
Yes, we did OTT, television advertising. We did a 15-second ad. And we geofenced, the areas as well around Wrigley Field, outside of the billboards. So basically television ads. We kind of stuck our toe in the water. We didn't spend a lot of money, but OUTFRONT told me it's 3 impressions to make a sale. We figured if we had a billboard, we had geofencing, and then we have a television ad, that would work. And it really did. It did really work. Television is very, very expensive. It's hard to track. The only way we could track it is we could see where we were spending our money in various zip codes with the television ads and watching sales. And we saw that there was a spike. We continued it. Where we didn't have a spike, we stopped doing it and moved it around. We could not cover the state of Illinois or even the northern part of Chicago. It's very expensive from the zip code standpoint. So we, again, like the mobile billboards, we had to kind of laser focus on zip codes that made most sense to us.
Great. And these are not questions, but I will just let you know you have some fans coming from Los Angeles, New York, Dallas, and Houston that are looking forward to Freshie joining their market. So you've got some consumers waiting for your product.
Excellent.
Yes. Who would like to talk about QR codes, Rene or Jake? What is your take on QR codes, and how do you think that they could be beneficial to out of home?
I'll take that one, Jake, if you don't mind. I think that QR codes were the comeback of the century, over the last kind of year and a half. And to Jake's point earlier, they kind of just manifested because of that concern with that initial physical touch, that point of contact. But I think from a CPG standpoint, a QR code can be used to scan, and maybe first thing that comes to mind is like a coupon or an offer, something that guides a consumer directly to purchase. Also, I think it would be really, Jake mentioned street level media. If you're by a bus shelter or a live board or a bike share, you can use a QR code and think of the delivery options that are out there now. So that add to cart mentality that we're all used to right now, you can scan a QR code and create a campaign where it links it directly to your cart that you already have going, or takes you to your brand's platform and you can order a delivery, order a curbside pickup. The possibilities are endless, but that's something that's right there in front of you and is very pedestrian facing. So I think that, those would just be really cool options that come to the top of my mind.
Yeah, fantastic. Jake, I have one for you. This particular person is asking about extensions. So extensions are an additional cost, right? So with that investment, how do you kind of justify the additional cost? What is the benefit to the consumer or to the brand by doing extensions?
Yeah, so extensions, we generally charge by square foot. So they can be as cheap or as expensive and elaborate as you want. But especially if you're doing like a bit of a longer term buy and doing static boards, like as Tim touched on, extensions get eyeballs because you're breaking that box. It's unexpected. We're used to seeing rectangles, but if we see something jutting out of it, a can, we're drawn to it, and we're drawn to it longer than we would be to a normal board. So really it's about how much you want to invest in those impressions and invest into eyeballs and how much of a splash you want to make.
Great. So this one I think is really in reference to the Bagel Bites example. It's about contextually relevant messaging. How important is it and what kind of impact does it have? I don't know, Rene, if you'd like to take that one, or Jake?
Yeah, I can definitely take it. And Jake, if you have anything you can piggyback off of it from a marketing standpoint. But I think contextually relevant messaging, you're going to relate to it more, right? You are going to interact with something more that resonates to who you are as a consumer, or, to the cultural moment, if you will. I think that it makes it so much more engaging, it makes it so much more fun. You're more apt to share it on social if it's something that, something that's relatable to you. I think it makes a huge impact. So our digital footprint allowing us to have that contextual relevance across the board in OUTFRONT, like as, across the country, I think that's an invaluable part of this industry, is making something that really will resonate and be repeated and be amplified from a consumer standpoint, based on a creative, based on a brand's, what the heart and soul of the brand is. If that's something we can relate to, then that's fantastic. That's invaluable.
Great. So we have a couple of kind of overlapping questions here, and thank you everybody for the questions. These are phenomenal. So this one is in particular about mobile. So I'm probably going to throw it to Rene. Mobile is newer to our brand. You've shared some mobile examples, but can you elaborate more on the features of mobile that OUTFRONT offers?
Yeah, so I think that, we touched on kind of all of the different options that we have a little bit earlier, but when it comes to proximity targeting, I really think that, if you're from a brand standpoint, if you are trying to target one of your storefronts and you want to layer your campaign with people who either are in that area that meet your specific audience that you're looking to target, or people who might just be in the area that might not be that audience, is very based solely more on a boundary, on an area. And then that audience targeting, I am an audience nerd. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm an audience nerd. So being able to layer in audience segments based on behavioral, that's what's really happening. That's real-time action right there. So, just having that, we're on our phones constantly throughout the day. We all are. We have them next to us right now, I'm sure many of us. So, just being able to have those ads that are fed to you based on something that you might have, you've probably already been exposed to, even if you didn't recognize it that first time you saw it. Adding that mobile layer really does increase that frequency of how often you're going to see an ad, and then pair that in with, the different types of creative that we have. The static, we saw a lot of stuff in our creative portion, whether it's a static or a animated creative, and those live videos, they're just so engaging. It's what people want to share. And, it's something that you can show your phone to the person next to you. It's really happening, and it's directing you somewhere very specific to who you are as a consumer.
Excellent. So we have a couple comedians in the audience today. So one is specifically for Jake. It's not a question, but well, I guess it is a question. saying that you sound familiar and have you done any Chick-fil-A commercials? I'm guessing we're just gonna get a chuckle out of that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I have, so you are correct.
There we go. Claim to fame. So I know we're coming up on our time here, so I'm going to leave the last question, which is a consolidation of many questions that are all very similar, to Timm. People know where they could buy Freshie and where you anticipate Freshie going from here. What markets?
Well, we're heading to Florida next. We like to stay in the 12-month seasonal states, which is the southern markets, so it'll be Georgia. No, we're already in Georgia, but Florida, the Carolinas, and then Arizona, California, and then we'll work our way north from there. But our target is the next 4 or 5 months is to get to the southern states and to the western states.
Yes.
You can also purchase us online at getfreshie.com. It'll direct you to where you could purchase this thing anywhere in the continental United States.
Excellent. And congratulations to you on the massive brand explosion. We're so happy to have partnered with you. And Ed Coyle is not only an excellent salesman, but he's also an excellent person in the office who shared a lot of Freshie here in the Chicago office. We're all big fans. So I can absolutely endorse.
Great to hear.
Yes, most definitely. So that said, I think we're actually past our time. But before we go, I just want to thank our experts, Rene, Jake, and Timm, for their insights and for answering all of our questions. And additionally, I want to thank all of you guys for taking time out of your busy day. We always appreciate and recognize how valuable your time is. Hopefully, as we all log off now, we'll be a little more enlightened, a lot more inspired, and go buy some Freshie. Everyone have a great day.